Welcome back to 5 Minutes Learning, where we dive into the most fascinating business case studies to help you understand how global giants manage their complex operations. And today, we're going to explore a company that's at the forefront of innovation, Samsung. Here are some fascinating facts about Samsung that will blow your mind. Did you know that Samsung is not just a leader in smartphones and electronics but also plays a key role in industries like shipbuilding, construction, and even life insurance? It's a massive conglomerate with over 230 global subsidiaries. Samsung also accounts for nearly 20% of South Korea's total exports, making it one of the most influential companies in the world. But what makes Samsung truly remarkable is how they manage their incredibly complex global supply chain in electronics manufacturing. With production spread across various countries, thousands of suppliers, and the constant pressure to innovate, Samsung's supply chain is an engineering marvel. So, in this video, we're going to dive deep into Samsung's global supply chain, focusing on how they manage the complexity of manufacturing high-tech products at such a massive scale. Samsung operates in more than 80 countries, with key manufacturing plants located in countries like South Korea, China, Vietnam, and India. With over 200 suppliers globally, the company's supply chain is a vast and intricate network that requires precision and efficiency at every step. In this case study, we will explore how Samsung manages the challenges of operating a global supply chain, what strategies they use to maintain efficiency and innovation, and what lessons we can learn from their success in one of the most competitive industries, electronics manufacturing. So, if you're an MBA student, supply chain enthusiast, or just curious about how tech giants operate, stick around. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another insightful case study. Let's get started. Key challenges in Samsung's global supply chain. Samsung's global operations span over 80 countries, with critical manufacturing facilities in South Korea, China, Vietnam, and India. While this global presence gives Samsung immense production capacity, it also creates a unique set of challenges that the company must overcome to remain competitive and efficient. One of the biggest challenges Samsung faces is managing its vast network of suppliers. With over 2,500 suppliers worldwide, ensuring consistency, quality, and timely delivery is a monumental task. For example, components like microchips, displays, batteries, and camera modules all come from different suppliers, and any delay from one of these partners can disrupt the entire production process. Take the global chip shortage as an example. In 2020, the shortage impacted industries globally, and Samsung was no exception. The company had to manage its supplier network carefully to prioritize certain products, like semiconductors for smartphones and home appliances, while delaying others. This showed how crucial supplier management is to maintain Samsung's supply chain efficiency. Another key challenge is dealing with geopolitical risks. Samsung operates in a volatile global environment where trade policies and diplomatic tensions can directly impact supply chain operations. For instance, the ongoing US-China trade tensions have led to tariffs and export restrictions on critical components like semiconductors. Samsung has had to diversify its production and sourcing strategies to mitigate risks. By setting up manufacturing facilities in Vietnam and India, Samsung can reduce its dependence on China, while also taking advantage of trade-friendly environments in those regions. This diversification is crucial for avoiding supply chain disruptions caused by political factors. Another challenge is integrating new technologies and constantly upgrading supply chain systems to stay ahead. As Samsung produces high-tech products like smartphones, semiconductors, and displays, they need state-of-the-art machinery and automation to ensure efficiency and precision. Take, for example, Samsung's advanced automation in their semiconductor plants, where robotic arms, AI-driven quality checks, and data analytics ensure that production is smooth and without defects. However, upgrading and maintaining this level of technological integration across global facilities is no easy feat. It requires heavy investment in R&D, training, and seamless integration with existing systems. Balancing demand forecasting and inventory management is another significant challenge. Samsung needs to anticipate demand for products like smartphones, TVs, and home appliances to ensure that the right amount of inventory is available at the right time. without overproducing or running out of stock. Take the launch of a new Galaxy smartphone, for instance. Samsung must accurately predict market demand months in advance to ensure enough units are manufactured without incurring excess inventory costs. Failing to do so can result in either missed sales opportunities or excessive stock that leads to financial losses. Finally, there is growing pressure on Samsung to enhance sustainability within its supply chain. With consumers and governments demanding environmentally responsible practices, Samsung is making efforts to reduce its carbon footprint, increase energy efficiency, and adopt eco-friendly packaging. For example, Samsung has pledged to source 100% renewable energy for all its factories in the US, Europe, and China by 2050. While this is a significant step, implementing these sustainability practices across its global supply chain is both costly and complex, requiring coordination across multiple countries and suppliers. Samsung's holistic supply chain strategy. One of the most critical aspects of Samsung's supply chain strategy is vertical integration. This means that Samsung manufactures many of the key components used in its products in-house. For example, Samsung is one of the world's largest producers of semiconductors, which are crucial for their smartphones, televisions, and appliances. By controlling the production of key components like semiconductors and displays, Samsung minimizes its reliance on third-party suppliers. This vertical integration strategy allows Samsung to have greater control over its supply chain, ensuring faster production cycles and fewer delays. It also helps reduce costs, as they don't have to pay external suppliers for these components. Samsung's supply chain strategy is also heavily dependent on its global production network. The company has strategically located its manufacturing plants in countries like South Korea, Vietnam, China, and India to take advantage of local expertise, labor costs, and proximity to key markets. For example, Samsung's factories in Vietnam play a critical role in smartphone production, while their facilities in South Korea are key to semiconductor manufacturing. By diversifying its manufacturing base across multiple countries, Samsung can balance production loads and reduce the risk of supply chain disruptions caused by geopolitical tensions or natural disasters. Another key element of Samsung's supply chain strategy is just-in-time (JIT) production. JIT is all about reducing inventory costs by producing and delivering components only when they are needed in the assembly line. For a company like Samsung, which deals with fast-moving consumer electronics, JIT is crucial to avoid overstocking and wastage. For instance, instead of holding large amounts of raw materials in warehouses, Samsung ensures that components like semiconductors or display panels arrive just as they are needed on the production line. This improves efficiency and lowers storage costs. Managing supplier relationships is another critical aspect of Samsung's strategy. With thousands of suppliers worldwide, Samsung needs to ensure that they are working closely with each one to maintain quality, consistency, and timely deliveries. Samsung has built long-term relationships with its suppliers, ensuring that they have a steady flow of components, such as camera modules, chips, and batteries. Strong collaboration allows Samsung to resolve potential bottlenecks quickly and maintain a resilient supply chain. Imagine your company relies on hundreds of suppliers for different parts of your product. If one of these suppliers has a delay or quality issue, it could disrupt your entire operation. Samsung mitigates this risk by fostering close partnerships, ensuring transparency, and quickly addressing any supply chain issues that arise. Finally, Samsung leverages advanced technology and data analytics to keep its supply chain running smoothly. By using real-time data to monitor every step of the supply chain, Samsung can predict potential delays, manage inventory levels, and optimize production schedules. For example, if there's a disruption in the supply of a critical component, Samsung's data systems can flag it in real time and trigger a response to either expedite another shipment or adjust production schedules accordingly. This kind of agility is key to managing a global supply chain. Use of technology in Samsung's supply chain. One of the key technologies Samsung uses is automation. Their factories employ highly advanced robotic systems to handle repetitive tasks, especially in assembling components like semiconductors and smartphones. By automating these processes, Samsung reduces human error, improves production speed, and increases overall efficiency. For example, in their semiconductor production lines, robots are responsible for tasks like precision welding, packaging, and quality control. This ensures that every chip meets the highest standards of quality without slowing down production. Another technological innovation Samsung relies on is real-time data analytics. Across its global supply chain, Samsung collects vast amounts of data from every stage of production and distribution. This data is then analyzed to make instant decisions, monitor supply chain health, and predict potential issues before they happen. For instance, if a shipment of components is delayed at one factory, Samsung's centralized data system can detect this and trigger a response, whether it's adjusting production schedules, rerouting inventory, or finding an alternative supplier. This helps Samsung avoid costly delays and keep production running smoothly. Samsung also utilizes artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML, to optimize their supply chain. AI systems analyze historical data and current market trends to forecast demand, helping Samsung plan production and inventory more accurately. For example, before launching a new smartphone, Samsung uses machine learning models to predict how many units will be sold based on past launches, market conditions, and consumer behavior. This allows them to adjust production schedules, manage inventory levels, and ensure that their supply chain is ready to meet demand. To enhance transparency and traceability in its supply chain, Samsung has started integrating blockchain technology. Blockchain provides a secure, immutable record of every transaction and movement of goods, from raw materials to finished products. This is particularly important in ensuring ethical sourcing and preventing counterfeit products from entering the supply chain. For example, using blockchain, Samsung can track the origin of the minerals used in its products, ensuring they are ethically sourced. This also helps Samsung quickly identify and resolve any issues related to product authenticity or supplier integrity. Another game-changing technology Samsung uses is the Internet of Things, IoT. By installing smart sensors on their production machinery and in their warehouses, Samsung can monitor everything from equipment performance to inventory levels in real time. For instance, if a piece of machinery is about to fail, IoT sensors can detect this in advance and notify the maintenance team, allowing them to fix the issue before it disrupts production. Similarly, IoT devices help Samsung track the location of inventory and shipments, improving the efficiency of their logistics operations. Samsung's supplier relationship and collaboration in global supply chain. Samsung's supply chain spans across continents, working with thousands of suppliers for raw materials, components, and parts. A critical element of their success is maintaining close and mutually beneficial relationships with these suppliers. Strong supplier collaboration helps Samsung ensure a smooth and reliable flow of components, while also allowing them to innovate quickly. For example, Samsung's collaboration with its semiconductor suppliers is crucial. By maintaining transparent and long-term relationships, they ensure that vital materials like silicon wafers are always available and meet the high standards required for production. But it's not just about receiving materials on time. Samsung actively engages with its suppliers to drive collaborative innovation. In a highly competitive industry like electronics manufacturing, both Samsung and its suppliers need to constantly innovate to stay ahead. This collaborative approach ensures that Samsung can improve product design, reduce costs, and shorten development cycles. For instance, Samsung works closely with its display component suppliers to develop cutting-edge AMOLED screens for their smartphones. By collaborating at the R&D stage, Samsung can push the boundaries of innovation while ensuring that the technology is ready for mass production when needed. Samsung also ensures that its relationships with suppliers promote transparency and ethical sourcing. In today's world, consumers and regulators demand more visibility into how products are made and where materials come from. Samsung works closely with its suppliers to make sure that all materials are sourced responsibly and that labor practices are ethical. For example, Samsung uses blockchain technology to track the sourcing of materials like cobalt, which is used in smartphone batteries. By ensuring that these materials are ethically sourced, Samsung not only meets regulatory requirements but also builds trust with consumers who care about sustainability and ethical practices. One of the biggest challenges in managing a global supply chain is risk management. Samsung addresses this by diversifying its suppliers and having multiple sources for critical components. This way, if one supplier experiences disruptions due to natural disasters, geopolitical issues, or other factors, Samsung can switch to an alternative supplier without halting production. For example, during the 2011 earthquake in Japan, Samsung's supply chain faced potential disruptions for critical components. However, due to their diversified supply base, they were able to quickly switch to alternative suppliers in other regions, minimizing the impact on production. Samsung's strategy for managing its supply chain doesn't just focus on short-term gains. They invest in long-term relationships with key suppliers, building a foundation of trust and cooperation. By working closely with suppliers over the years, Samsung ensures consistent quality, better pricing, and a reliable supply of materials. For instance, Samsung has long-term relationships with suppliers of memory chips and processors. These relationships have been nurtured over decades, leading to better collaboration, trust, and a shared commitment to quality. Samsung's sustainability in global supply chain. Sustainability is at the heart of Samsung's supply chain strategy. With operations spanning multiple countries and industries, Samsung has recognized the importance of reducing its environmental footprint and promoting ethical practices. Sustainability is not just about being green, it's about being responsible in how you source materials, how you manufacture products, and how you manage waste and emissions. For example, Samsung has committed to significantly reducing its carbon emissions by 2050 as part of its broader sustainability goals. This commitment applies across its supply chain, from raw material sourcing to product distribution. One key area where Samsung focuses on sustainability is in the ethical sourcing of raw materials. Electronics manufacturing often requires materials like cobalt and lithium, which are sometimes associated with unethical labor practices, particularly in regions like the Democratic Republic of Congo. To combat this, Samsung uses advanced technologies, including blockchain, to ensure transparency and ethical sourcing of these materials. For instance, Samsung tracks the origins of materials like cobalt to ensure that they come from sources that meet strict ethical and environmental guidelines. This not only helps Samsung meet regulatory requirements but also assures consumers that the products they're buying are ethically made. Another key pillar of sustainability for Samsung is reducing waste and promoting a circular economy. In the electronics industry, waste from obsolete devices can be significant. Samsung has implemented recycling programs and circular initiatives aimed at reusing materials from old products to create new ones. For example, Samsung runs programs to collect old smartphones and other devices, extracting valuable materials like gold and copper, which are then reused in new products. This reduces the need for mining new materials, helping to conserve natural resources and reduce waste. Sustainability in Samsung's supply chain also extends to energy efficiency and the use of renewable energy. As one of the largest electronics manufacturers in the world, Samsung's factories consume a significant amount of energy. To mitigate this, Samsung has committed to increasing its use of renewable energy across its global operations. For instance, Samsung's operations in the US, Europe, and China have already shifted to using 100% renewable energy. They have also implemented energy-saving technologies in their factories, reducing their overall energy consumption. Samsung is also working hard to minimize carbon emissions across its supply chain. From production to transportation, Samsung monitors and works to reduce the environmental impact of its logistics network. This includes optimizing shipping routes, using cleaner fuels, and working with logistics partners that share their commitment to sustainability. For example, Samsung has optimized its shipping and transportation processes to minimize fuel consumption, reducing carbon emissions across the supply chain. This not only helps the environment but also lowers operational costs. Sustainability is not something Samsung achieves alone, it also requires cooperation with its suppliers. Samsung partners with its suppliers to implement sustainable practices throughout the supply chain. This involves setting sustainability goals for suppliers and helping them adopt greener technologies and processes. For instance, Samsung has worked with key suppliers to reduce water consumption, energy use, and waste production. By setting clear sustainability targets, Samsung ensures that its entire supply chain is aligned with its environmental goals. Flexibility and agility in Samsung's global supply chain. Samsung operates one of the most complex supply chains in the world, spanning numerous countries, suppliers, and production facilities. Flexibility is the cornerstone of managing this complexity. This means Samsung has the ability to shift production, adapt to changing market conditions, and respond quickly to disruptions. For example, if there is a sudden surge in demand for smartphones in North America, Samsung has the flexibility to ramp up production in its factories in Vietnam or India, diverting resources to meet market demand. This flexibility ensures that Samsung can respond to market changes without compromising efficiency. In today's world, supply chains are constantly under threat from unexpected disruptions like natural disasters, geopolitical tensions, or even global pandemics. Agility is Samsung's ability to quickly pivot in response to these disruptions. During the COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, when many companies were struggling to keep their operations running, Samsung quickly adjusted its supply chain to ensure the smooth flow of components and products. This agility allowed them to continue manufacturing while also meeting the rising demand for devices needed for remote work and learning. A key strategy that supports Samsung's flexibility and agility is multi-sourcing, the practice of working with multiple suppliers for critical components. This diversification ensures that Samsung isn't overly dependent on any single supplier, reducing the risk of supply chain bottlenecks. For instance, Samsung sources semiconductors from a variety of suppliers to ensure that if one supplier faces a disruption, the company can still maintain production by relying on another. This kind of flexibility is essential when dealing with complex electronics manufacturing, where delays in a single component can halt the entire production process. Samsung has implemented agile manufacturing practices that allow it to quickly respond to changing market demands. Whether it's scaling up production for a new flagship smartphone or adjusting the output of home appliances, Samsung's supply chain is designed to be nimble and responsive. For example, if a particular model of smartphone is suddenly in high demand, Samsung can swiftly adjust its production lines to increase output for that product, while reducing the production of other models that may not be selling as quickly. This ensures that Samsung can always stay ahead of market trends and meet consumer needs. Samsung's supply chain agility is also driven by the strategic use of data and predictive analytics. By leveraging real-time data and forecasting models, Samsung can anticipate changes in demand, identify potential disruptions, and adjust its supply chain strategy accordingly. For example, Samsung uses data analytics to predict seasonal demand fluctuations for its electronics products. By analyzing historical sales data and market trends, Samsung can adjust its supply chain to meet anticipated demand well in advance, avoiding both shortages and overproduction. Lastly, Samsung's supply chain agility is supported by real-time communication and collaboration across its global network. With manufacturing plants, suppliers, and distribution centers spread across the world, Samsung ensures that information flows seamlessly between all parties, enabling quick decision-making and fast responses. For instance, if there's a delay in one part of the supply chain, Samsung can immediately communicate with all relevant stakeholders to make quick adjustments, ensuring that operations continue without significant disruptions. That wraps up our exploration of Samsung's global supply chain strategy. If you found this video informative, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button for more case studies, and share this video with your fellow MBA students. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode of 5 Minutes Learning.